Lennox furnace. No heat call. Intermittent problems. Basically a second opinion behind another company. It said she needed about $4,500 in repairs. And so far I've realized they were right about one thing. We have a 90% furnace. We have a sealed crawl space, as you can see. So our combustion air is going to be a problem here. She bought the house, found it this way. She didn't have the unit installed. This was all here when she bought the house. But every register is sealed. The door for the crawl space is sealed with weather stripping, and then so that's going to be an issue. So let's dig into this thing and see what's going on. I believe it's running right now. She said it just intermittently comes on. They said something about the heat exchanger needing to be replaced and some other odd and end things. So we're draining into a condensate pump right there. So anytime somebody mentions a heat exchanger and I come out for a second opinion, I want to check it. So checking the heat exchanger, I'm probably have to pop these burners out, get in there with the camera, maybe do a pressure test on it. But it's a 90% furnace, so getting this blower out and being able to see the heat exchanger ain't going to happen. As you're going to have your secondary coil for the heat exchanger right in there, and it's going to be in between the blower compartment and the actual heat exchanger itself. So first thing I'm going to do is go in through the evaporator coil. You got to pull out, which I already know nobody else has ever done, so I don't know if the other company, how they found this alleged crack in the heat exchanger. I mean, there may be one, but if you see, this panel is still zip tied right there to the TXV, so I know that no one's ever pulled this out to look back there. I got this thing out of the way. I mean, I'm looking in there best I can. I mean, it's not the easiest access. This is kind of a small coil, but I mean, I'm probably have to stick the camera in there and look around a little bit, see if I can come up with anything. Alright, yeah, so I've done about as good a visual inspection on the heat exchanger as I can, going back inside the burners, going back in through the coil. Like I said, pulling the blower out of this thing, it's a 90% furnace, so your secondary coil is going to be right slab in the way. Nothing in here is rusted over time. What is the year model on this? How old is this thing actually? So Linux. So we are looking at a 5904, so it's 19 years old, 2004. But typically you're going to see your rust and your corrosion if you got any of that water dripping and leaking, if that secondary is cracked. But there were some rust spots back in the this clamshell type heat exchanger around the back where the seams come. There was a couple of places where we had some pretty good chunks of rust coming through there. And that could just be where it sweats when the air conditioner is running and it condensates in there. So I'm going to try one more thing. Makes sense. Now she says only on real cold nights is it shutting off, and I wonder if it's just choking itself out when it gets down into the, 30, 28 degree range. You got the sealed crawl space with no combustion air. The floors are insulated. I mean, it's going to pull a little bit from in there, but I mean, if everything in here is sealed. She had the old original furnace. Well, like I said, she didn't put any of this in. She bought the house this way. The original was an 80% furnace, and there's your Fields fan right there. And that looked like it was sealed at one point in time. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to go around to each one of these switches, pull these hoses off. I'm going to turn the blower on. I've got a sealed box over here. Got the coil door back on, blower door back on, static at normal operating static, whatever that is. I hadn't checked static on it. I'm not going to do that. But I want to see if I get a pressure change when that blower comes on. I'm just trying to come up with some ideas. Well, actually, let me put this in inches of water column. It might be a little bit more sensitive. And that's the same collector box. I don't know that I have to check across to each set of these holes, but I'm going to check them all. That one back on. Back over here. Zero it. And turn the blower back on. Nothing. And last but not least, I'm going to go over here off the gas valve from the burner box right there. And see what happens there, which I mean, it's probably want to put my hand over that when I do it. So let's turn on the blower, cover that flue up. I'm going to take my hand off this flue real quick. And you see it dropping back down. So we're going to cut this off again real quick. We're going to re-zero the manometer. And I wish I had just something I could tape this up with. Let me tape that up. Alright guys, so I have taped that up right there. Make sure, I don't know how well my glove was sealing that, but I definitely got a pressure change in it that time coming through this box. So let's try it one more time. Yep, that'll do it. I mean, it's minimal, but somehow that blower is getting air inside here when it comes on. So we definitely have a breach in the heat exchanger. And I'm gonna guess we need to probably get an estimate on a new furnace, and then coming out here and redoing this exhaust concentric kit, double pipe it, however they want to do it. But this thing's definitely probably not worth the money it's going to cost to replace that heat exchanger, that's for sure. So alright guys, appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, and see you on the next one.